We are so pleased to have everyone to come out tonight to share this special occasion for these 5 inductees. This is, we see this as a very, very special ceremony to honor people that have done a fantastic job for Laney, and that they have done all the things that we hope that our athletes will do, both in the classroom and on the fields and on the courts and all those things. And our inductees tonight have done a great job of making Laney the great place that it has been for forever. As you know, I've been here for quite a few years, not too many. And so it's been it's always a pleasure to see our athletes come back. It's always a great thing to see them as they come in as freshmen, not very strong, maybe not very tall, but they come in and to watch them grow, watch them become better athletes, and to watch them, get to the place where, we get an opportunity to honor them for all the things that they have done. So I'm glad that family members, that you come out to celebrate with them and with us, and we hope this is going to be something that is memorable and something that everybody will remember for a long, long, long time. First, I'd like to introduce some of our Hall of Fame inductees from years in the past. Let's see, Miss Bertha Williams, will you please stand? Miss Williams has been here a little bit before me. So she's been there quite a while, and we know all the things that she has done for Laney High School. Mr. Terrence Williams back there. At the table, Miss Ruby Sutton. Let's see, who am I? Am I missing anyone else? Oh, Mark D. Marcus Dixon. Hey, don't give me that look. You know what worms are. Let's see. Gail's better half. Kimberly Grotsky. What's your married name?
Selsky.
Okay. The tall guy back here. Stand up, Kevin. Kevin with it. Who has to go make coffee so he can kind of get through the ceremony tonight. Okay, guys, but this is a special time, and we're glad that everybody came out. And what we do this evening is to introduce everyone and present them with a couple of gifts that we have for those who have become a part of this. For those of you that choose to speak, you're welcome to do so. If you choose not to, that's okay too. Ms. Sutton said she's gonna put the clock on everybody so she can go over and watch the Naya play this evening. Excuse me, the clock is on Trey and Mr. D. That's what she says. Everybody else, you can do your own thing there. All right, but we get started with our inductees. First up, we have Miss T.J. Harvey, who is I guess it's great to be the first. She was the first outstanding golfer that Laney has had. Very, very special to us. Qualified for the states, winning the conference. Did a lot of good things. She, became very good in spite of Coach Tynes' coaching. But she has did a great job for us, and we know that during the time, we're very, very, it's very, very special to us because, balancing things that she had to balance, and we talk about our athletes overcoming things and not whining and crying about some things that may not be going great for you, but she was a great example to all of us and to all of the athletes because she went out, she battled, she did the things she had to. She was an outstanding golfer. So we will give her a chance to come up and talk if she chooses. Miss T.J. Harvey. And you have to talk directly into this mic. Directly.
I just want to thank everyone for coming out tonight for the support for Laney Athletics. I want to extend a special thanks to Coach Tynes for the nomination and to the committee for the induction and the acceptance into the Hall of Fame. This is a great honor, and I'm happy to be here tonight. I want to say, a special thanks to my dad for teaching me the great game of golf and always supporting me and teaching me the right way down the fairway. And my mom for the love and support and driving me across the state, no matter how far away it was, so that I could play this great game. And all the opportunities it led for me in my future and where I am today. So thanks again for coming, and see you out there.
Okay, next up we have Miss Gail Grosky, who changed our tennis program. As we talk about people who had a lasting effect on Laney High School and athletics, of course our tennis team was pretty much non-existent before she basically took over the program. We struggled to get girls to come out, and we didn't have a whole lot of success. She took over the program. First couple of years were a little bit rough, a little bit trying. But one of the marks of an outstanding coach is where you are from the beginning and where you end up, and how well you're able to get your team to perform, how much better the program becomes, and how's the program once you leave it. And Gail did a great job for us. She put us on the map, and we had a lot of success, just winning championship after championship after championship, and kind of got us on the right track. So, Miss Gail Grosky.
My son Kevin said, "Mom, are you going to write a speech?" I said, "I'm probably not going to speak, but I should have listened to him and been prepared." It was a joy coming to Laney to work under Mr. McLaurin, and also to be a counselor here and to coach the girls' tennis. I had a great group of girls. We started off very slowly, 0-13 or 14. Then next year we won 3 games. And then after that, we were conference champs. I sent 6 girls to regionals, 6 girls to states. And they were all academic scholars, as well as playing tennis. I would keep the light on the bus from the home match so they could do their studies. A couple of the girls are in here. Kimberly's in there with her son, Katie and Scarlett, and some more coming to the gym. I want to dedicate this award to Bree Minnick, who is no longer with us. She was a great part of the team. Her family really supported her, and we all love and miss her. But I'm very honored and quite proud. I was stunned when Coach Lynch called me, and one of the girls, it's so nice to hear things. One of the girls could not come, and she sent me this beautiful email saying that not only did I teach her some tennis, but life lessons, and that's what's very important in life. Thank you again. Oh, thank you. Oh, I like this.
Okay, next up, one of my sons, as I like to call him, even though they're grown men now. Trey Whitted, very, very special to me, to the Laney basketball program. One of the few athletes that we had, one of the few basketball players that we had to come in and participate on the varsity as a freshman. He came in, did a great job for us, and we talk about watching athletes grow. Trey did a tremendous job in the basketball program. Conference Player of the Year, East-West, you name it, he did it. As I said, special love for him, even though he's never said anything about it, but I guess he forgave me for leaving him at White Oak. You know, true story. But you know, he's a senior, but senior can't get on the bus. You know, then there's something wrong with him. But yeah, he never said a word. But I remember that night, and thank goodness Mr. D was at the game. I don't know how you got back home from Jacksonville, man. But you know, one of the things that I admire so much about Trey is that not only is he an outstanding athlete, but the man that he has become. The things that he's done in the community, going out speaking to young people. As a matter of fact, he did that was today or yesterday. He's always involved in the community. He's always trying to give back. He's always mentoring athletes. I think he's been to Laney 2 or 3 times to talk to some young men and women. We're proud of athletes, but we're more proud of the adults that they have become. Mr. Trey Whitted.
What an honor it is to be here this evening. It's truly a privilege. I'd like to thank Coach Dickerson for the nomination, as well as the committee for the induction. It's interesting because when I was in school, I never thought about being in any type of Hall of Fame. I mean, there were times when I didn't even think I was good enough to play varsity. But oddly enough, I thank God for that mindset. I thank God for the mindset of not being good enough because it forced me to work harder. I also thank God because He equipped me with the drive, the tools, and the support system I needed in order to be good enough and stand here tonight. It's said that every person, or every successful person, has at least one person that believes in them. Well, I'm fortunate enough to have many that have believed in me over the course of the years, and several of them are here tonight. To my family, to my friends, thank you for your continuous support. You all constantly poured into me. You had my back during tough losses. You supported my mental stability, my mental state in high school when I went through so many emotional roller coasters. But in particular, I'd like to thank my Uncle Kevin. For those that don't know, like Coach Lynch, like Coach Lynch mentioned, Kevin is a member of the Hall of Fame. And I want to thank you for being a positive inspiration for me. You graduated from Laney in 1990, and I started in 1999. So in other words, you started the decade and I closed it out. You also left big shoes for me to fill, and I try my best to fill those. You came all the way from Memphis, and I appreciate that. My dad and I had a conversation a couple months ago about leaders, and good leaders and characteristics of good leaders. And he said, Trey, leaders are servants. They aren't dictators. And it's funny, after reflecting on that, I'm a firm believer that Coach Cedric Dickerson is the perfect definition of a leader because of your service. Your service to the program at Laney, your service to the community, and your time and commitment to my growth as a player and as a person. My freshman year, like Coach Lynch mentioned, I was on varsity, and I remember Coach Lynch had to go out of town and you had to serve as interim head coach. You made a bold decision and inserted me into the starting lineup. I started every game after that. The belief you had in me at such a young age was unmatched, and I'm truly thankful for that. To Coach Bessemer, my middle school coach. I remember being in the 6th grade, and Trask Middle School at the time was 0-20. They hadn't won a game in 2 years. And my dad and I went to the last game of the season, and I remember after the game, Coach Bessemer made it his point to stop and talk to my dad and I. And he pointed at me, and he looked at my dad, and he said, next year, things are going to be different. And they were. We went on and won 2 county championships. I was the MVP. You were a huge advocate for me to play varsity as a freshman. And I also remember my last game as a senior, being in the locker room, boo-hoo, crying. As you can see, I'm super emotional. But I looked up and he was crying too. And that meant a lot, so it was so much love. Miss Sutton, Miss Dombrowski, you 2 women are extremely remarkable. And I hope over the years I've done a good job of expressing how thankful I am for you 2. Miss Sutton, you challenged me, you pushed me out of my comfort zone, and you held me accountable. Miss D, I could do no wrong in your eyes. You both were my mothers at Laney, and you still are to this day. That's why it feels like home every time I come back. You know, I believe every support system needs someone who is going to tell you the truth. The rawest truth without seasoning, with no concern as to how it tastes. And I feel you need someone who's going to tell you the truth at times when you don't want to hear it. Now, there's one man that played that role in my career better than anyone else. That was Coach Lynch. Coach, I honestly don't think you understand the positive impact you had in my career as well as my life in general. You were always willing to tell me the truth because you genuinely cared about me and you knew I could handle it. There's one particular lesson that comes to mind, and it's one that you just mentioned. In my recollection, it was West Brunswick. It was my senior year. I had recently committed to Marshall University, and we were playing at West Brunswick, and two of our coaches from Marshall were at this game. And I remember being extremely nervous. I was worked up because I felt like I had to perform in front of these coaches. And I went out there and I played with fear, and I shot the ball a lot. This was common, as Lee and Rashad, my teammates, could attest. But I guess I shot a lot more than usual, and I missed a lot more than usual, and the result was us losing the ball game. And Coach, living in his truth, as soon as we got into the locker room, he called me out. He said, "Trey, bottom line, son, you played selfish." Again, no seasoning, no salt, just the rawest truth. Now, to make matters worse, like he mentioned, after I got done talking to the Marshall coaches and I finished talking to my dad, I stepped outside, and the driver of the school bus had taken off. So I couldn't decide if I was more upset about him calling me selfish or me missing out on a cozy ride home with my teammates and the cheerleaders. But no, all jokes aside, obviously he knew I was going to be well taken care of. But on the ride home, I remember thinking, I said, okay. I said, all right, Coach just called me out. He called me selfish. I'll show him, all right, what selfish is. All right. Next game, we played New Hanover High School. I made a decision I wasn't going to shoot one time. Because in my mind, if I didn't play selfish, we weren't going to be competitive. So, sure enough, we played New Hanover High School, crosstown rival. I didn't take one shot. But we won. And it was the last time we beat Hanover until last week. But the lesson came the following day in the newspaper. Coach Lynch told the reporters I had played the best game of the season. I'm like, best game of the season? Coach only had 2 points from free throws and 5 assists. I'm averaging 22 points. How was that the best game of the season? You see, initially it didn't make sense. Right? Then it clicked. It was the best game of the season because it was the first time all season I didn't make the game about myself. It was the first time all season I realized I wasn't bigger than the game of basketball. I carried that lesson into life, and sometimes we have to remove ourselves and our motives in order to do what's best for the greater good. It also taught me selfishness is the root of fear. You see, I believe we become afraid and put undue pressure on ourselves when we start thinking situations are about us, when in turn, most situations serve a bigger purpose. Coach, you taught me how important it is to make sure our intentions are in proper alignment. You play with intentions of winning, not for self-glorification. And that life application is you live with intentions of loving, not with intentions of selfish gain. Now, these are all lessons I teach my players today. You were hard on me because you had to be, and I may not have understood it then, but I definitely get it now. You wrote a comment on my Facebook post a few months ago, and you just said it. You said, I am proud of the man you have become. And reading that meant the world to me. So I thank you for your honesty, your commitment to Laney, and I thank you for pulling out the best in me. Now, lastly, it's going to be tough. There are 2 members of my support team, support system that can't be here tonight, and they're my brothers and former teammates, Darren Dickerson and Armand Cornell. They both passed away, and I'm sure they're looking down on us, but I have zero doubts they would be here tonight in full support if they could be. So in closing, during my life, several people have asked me why I love so hard. and why I care so much. And one person even asked me if it was because I wasn't loved enough when I was younger. But the truth is I was loved hard and I was cared for. And there's no greater feeling to be loved on and to be cared for. And I just want everyone else to experience that. So I'm standing here as a result of love, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for all the love that I've received over the years. So again, I was loved, so I loved hard. I care because I was cared for. I lead because I was led properly, and I inspired because I was inspired. So thank you all for the roles you've played in my life, and thank you again for this honor.
Okay. All right, next up we have Mr. Brian Britt, baseball extraordinaire at Laney High School. Used to hit it a mile. You know, one of the things that, you know, we never say this to Brian, and we never would as coaches or as people here at Laney, but one of the things that stood out about him was his character. You know, we all knew he was a great athlete. We all know he could play. We all knew that, you know, his abilities on the field. But one of the things that he always showed at Laney High School was outstanding character. Never met anybody that didn't get along with him. Never met anybody that they didn't love him. You know, always happy, always having a great time. And, you know, that's what we talk about with our athletes. You know, Trey just talked about leadership. You know, leadership is not always about, you know, rah-rah. It's not always about I got to be out there. It's just doing the right things. And in our baseball program, no one did the right things any more than Brian did. Little side note, you know, Brian came during the time when it happened like crazy today. Everybody is switching schools. Everybody's running all over the place. Everybody's trying to find that green grass. One of the things that Brian did at a time when, you know, some of his friends, I don't know if they were his friends during the time when they did it, but some of his friends decided, let's see if the grass is greener down Market Street. You know, and that some people were out searching but to see what was better. And one of the things that we admired so much about Brian is that, you know, he knew it was right here, and that he had a role to play. He chose to play it. He chose to be a leader, and our baseball program was so great because of him. We know the things that he did at Laney High School. He also went out and did those same things at UNC Dub. Coach Scaff came out tonight to also honor him because we know the character that Brian displayed and what an outstanding athlete that he was. At this time, Mr. Brian Britt.
All right, perfect. I can follow Trey so I can keep it short and sweet for y'all. I guarantee you, I got nothing for him. But I love everybody. I love all y'all. Appreciate everything. And my story is long and crazy, and don't get me started on it. I don't know if anybody even knows about it, but I'm just happy to be walking, talking, and be able to stand here with the microphone and cry and carry on. Trust me. So thank you very much, all of you. I love all of you.
Okay, last up. You know, as Mary said, I hate to be a deceitful person. I hate to lie and not always be upfront and truthful. But this one time I had to be a little bit mischievous. Nice surprise for Mr. Dickerson. How we were able to keep this a surprise to him, you know, I didn't know if we could pull it off. You know, I kept contacting Mary. I'm like, I don't know, because he's kind of nosy about some stuff here. So, so I don't know if we could pull this one off on him, but we did. I don't, you know, you know, as Trey said about being emotional. You know, Cedric and I have been friends for a long, long time. You know, he is my brother. There's no question about that. You know, we love each other. You know, we've always supported each other, and it's a very, very special relationship. He probably could probably have maybe $500,000 more if he had stopped coaching with me and taking care of his State Farm business. But he chose to, as he always does, he chose to come out and serve and to look out for kids at Laney High School. I don't know if there's a better person that I've ever met. He's done a lot of things. I mean, he talk about giving. Nobody gives more of themselves than Cedric does. I won't start to name all of the committees and organizations and all the things that he's done, because we'd be up here for, all through the ceremony, and then Sherry times be giving me the eye. but he is, only recently, as Mary said, he's finally learned how to say no to people a little bit. As I said, he's been a mentor to a lot of our athletes. He's been a philanthropist to a lot of our programs, and he's just a very, very special person at Laney High School. And I will shut up and let Mr. Dickerson talk.
For those of you who've ever seen Police Academy, I'm going to do a Mahoney. Taking my hat off, one glove, two gloves, and I'm going to settle down and be here for a while. Well, I was counting everybody who gave back time. I graciously accepted it. But after Trey's speech, I think I'm still at -2. Man, they say you do what you have passion. Last year was a tough year for our family, and I was in Greenville, and one of my fraternity brothers, he's a bishop, and he was doing a service, and it was like it was to Mary and I. And he said, concentrate on what you have passion. So when I got back to Laney, I called Coach Coley, called Coach Davis, and said, Coach Dixon hadn't done any individual skills in a lot of years, but he's back in business. I said, so we're going to start working out with the kids. One of the things that my son wanted was this basketball team to return to glory. So I think that the one thing that, in my opinion, that I do better than sell insurance and serve on committees is do one-on-one skills with basketball. So I decided to get back to work. And I called in, had one kid I was working with, and I said, well, I haven't done this in a long time, and the kids are looking at me like, well, who's this guy? And I said, well, I work with Trey Whitted. We're with Marcus Dickerson, Darren Dickerson, Jabbar Dickerson, Elijah. So I said, I'm kind of like the Temptations. I said, it's been a long time since I made any hits, but I can still sing. So we went to work. But you find what you have passion for. And I guess that the service part, you don't think about it when you're doing it. Hopefully you do what comes natural. And there's people in my life that I have to thank for that, When I go back to my grandmother who raised me, we didn't have much, but we shared. I grew up on a road called Coley Road. I tell Ron Coley about his history because he didn't know that we were connected, that my stepfather was a Coley, and that the place that his family came from was the Coley plantation, and the Coleys still own it. And so I told him I was going to take him down and take him a ride down Coley Road and give him his family history. But down that road, we worked hard and we farmed and we raised product and produce and all things like that. But one thing we always did was my stepfather always made sure that we shared with everybody. We had baskets of potatoes, sweet potatoes, and we take it around to 50 houses. And all he asked for was, if you give me my basket back, you'll have sweet potatoes again next year. You'll be what you see. And so he taught lessons that hopefully I carry forward. But the reason that I'm here is because when I look out in this group, all these inductees, with the exception of you, are people that are from my generation. Coach Grosky's tennis team, you know, I was part of all of you young ladies. I was around that team, you know, on a constant basis. And yeah, they were a 4.0 team. You know, they were they were smart, but they were great young ladies. And I see you've grown into great mothers and wives, and I'm very proud of you. Trey, I look back, I see my people in the back. I see Clay, I see Rashad, Jason, I see Terrence. All of you guys, Lee, all of you guys are people that, you're the reason that I kept coming back. And I had a little bit of a break when some of you guys left, and I don't have the connection with the guys now that I had with you guys. But everywhere I go in life now, I run into one of you guys. Michael Long, since the 7th grade. When he was a little bad, well, I can't use the A word. And I said, young man, if you stay out of trouble and don't go to the office no more this year, next year when you come back as an 8th grader, you're gonna be the captain of our lacrosse team. And he did. And he came to Laney, and he's become I'm so proud of the man that you've become. And I could go around the room and point that out to so many. But that's the story. That's why. I mean, you don't even think about it. All these years have flown by, and it's all been fun. Do the thing you have passion for. So when I heard that statement, I said, well, I love my family. I have passion for them. I said, I enjoy what I do for a living. But all of a sudden, I'm teaching basketball again. So I go to work. I commit for Monday and Wednesday. So I'm gonna work out with the guys 6 to 8 on Monday and Wednesday. So I'm working, enjoying my week. But I started noticing the only time I got excited was on Mondays and Wednesdays when I pulled the warm-up suit out, took off the suit and changed clothes in my office and got out of the office heading to Laney. So I guess I found what that passion was. So this year, that passion has been therapy for me. Back in the gym, working with kids, has gotten me through. I asked my wife, Mary, I said, you know, am I being selfish here? Because maybe you don't have anything to dive into to occupy that space. Because when I walk in the gym, I know Darren is walking with me. And Trey, the reason you got started, because he wanted you. Every day, Dad, Trey's ready. Dad, Trey's ready. He's a freshman, Dad. He's ready, Dad. He's got a high basketball IQ. He plays good. He can shoot the ball, Dad. We need him. So when Coach Lynch went out of town, I decided, hey, this is the time. So in those times when I subbed for Coach Lynch, I remember having a conversation with Trevor, and he said, well, what are you going to do with Coach Lynch? I said, well, I got 2 games, and I'm going to win both of them, and I'm going to retire as the highest winning percentage in the history of high school basketball. They went under his column in his name, but if you dig deep, Cedric Dickerson is 2-0. The highest winning percentage in history. So back to series. I'm going to close this out because I know we need to get over there, but I wanted to close out with a little poem that I have used many times with my fraternity. I see my fraternity brother back there, Jonathan. For many years, I was the boss of or president of our fraternity, and sometimes when you have a lot of A personalities, you bump heads sometimes and you have some conflict. But the motto of our fraternity is friendship is essential to the soul. So as I was going through my readings, I found this poem called Friendship. And it stated, 2 friends were walking through the desert, and they had an argument. And one friend slapped the other in the face. And once he did that, the friend stooped and he wrote in the sand, he said, today my best friend slapped me. And they continued on through the journey, and they came upon an oasis, and they decided to take a bath. And the friend that was slapped got stuck in the mire and started to drown. And the other friend saved him. And when he came out of the mire, he wrote on a stone, "Today, my best friend saved my life." And the other friend said, "You know, when I hurt you earlier, you wrote in the sand. And when I saved your life, you carved it in stone." And the answer was, when someone hurts you, write it in sand so the winds of forgiveness can blow it away. When someone does something good for you, carve it in stone so the winds can never blow it away. So a little levity. Today, my good friend Fred Lynch fired me for being the presenter at Laney Gym later for this presentation. I've done it every year. And my other friend, Ron Coley, took the job. So I immediately wrote it down in sand. And then Debbie delivered this to me just a few minutes ago that I was being inducted into the Hall of Fame tonight. So through this mischievous, sometimes somewhat deceptive action, it was all done to make sure that this was a special night for me. And rest assured, I am carving that in stone. Thank you.